Good. Well, I'm a mining engineer as my starting BSc is a mining engineer from Coimbra. Then I did a MSc in computer science, actually also in Coimbra. And then I went to the UK to do my PhD in geothermal energy in Camborne School of Mines, a very nice spot from England, very good, one of the best places in Britain to spend some time. So after that PhD in Cornwall, actually it ended up to be a degree from the University of Exeter due to the changes that happened at the time between universities and polytechnics and things like that, that also happened in Portugal more recently. So it was in the end a degree from the University of Exeter, even though it was in Camborne. After that, after a few years of that PhD, I decided to learn a bit of economy, and I did an MBA in economy here in Coimbra. So that also helped a bit to understand how the organizations work. And so, but that's really not the big reason why all my involvement with Africa actually started. The main reason is because I was born in Angola. So there is always that link with the African, with Africa and all the African people, because the blood that runs in my veins is actually African blood, not Portuguese blood. But and another reason why all these projects actually started is because the Earth Sciences Department has a very long history of collaboration with the institutions from Africa. In the beginning, it was with Cape Verde, after with Brazil. Actually, in those first actions, I was not involved, but later on, we started to get involved with Angola, and we spent quite a few years in Angola. In the south of Angola, we had one of our degrees that was actually, we accepted students from Angola, and actually we went there to give our lessons there, and it was a really nice experience for a while. That had to be stopped because the fees went for foreigners went up dramatically. That's one of the big constraints that the international students have when they want to come to Portugal, is the cost of the enrollment in a university. So that actually ended that collaboration. The main motivations from a personal level actually have to do with this need to give back to African institutions a bit of what we know. Actually, I feel that that is an obligation that we have. We have to share a bit of what we know with others that have less opportunities. These collaborations have mainly been with Portuguese-speaking countries. So Cape Verde, Angola, Mozambique. We also had collaborations with East Timor, but mainly with the Portuguese-speaking countries. But actually now, jumping a bit on what you want to know of the long-term implications of the project, one of the things that I would like to achieve is to get collaboration with partners from other countries, not only Portuguese-speaking countries, but also with like South Africa, maybe Guinea, so whatever other countries we may get links with and I think we actually are going to succeed in doing that, even though there is always that big link with the Portuguese speaking countries. Yes. In simple terms, the project is has this idea of implementing 5 degrees, but that's to say that that is the in simple terms, the main objectives of the project is to establish a major network of institutions that are able to collaborate at the scientific level and that are able to exchange knowledge between them. Because one of the main my main object is probably personal, but I would like that the others would also have that idea with them, is that we should not maintain this idea that we are always teaching others, but also that we are learning something. So this should be a two-way street, not only a one-way street. The other thing, and that is on the name of the project. So the project, the acronym SUGERE, which in Portuguese means, the SUGERE is a Portuguese word that means suggest. So we don't want to impose nothing. We want to collaborate and to share ideas with our African partners, and in that way we want to learn something also to improve our understanding of others. Actually, this year I started a bit with that idea, and I invited some of our colleagues to teach our students about their geology. And that was a very interesting experience, something that I will try to implement because, of course, we study their geology, but it's not the same as hearing from them their experience, because of course they know exactly their home. And in the long term, other things that I would like to have for this project is to have, and I think that this is also the intention of some of our African colleagues, is to have degrees that permit the exchange of students between institutions. That is not a very simple process, because there is always the bureaucracy, and bureaucracy always puts some obstacles on the implementation of these things. But if we could find ways of exchanging students, exchanging teachers in the long term, not only for the duration of this project, then this would be a winner project from my point of view. A newcomer to this field, I will pick the 3 main pillars of the project: earth sciences, environment, and social economy. So if we combine all these elements, we in the project, we got to a point where we found that we have to concentrate on local economy development. So it is very interesting to say, okay, I don't want to have mining in my areas. I don't want to have the landscape destroyed and all these things. But the truth is that the metals and all the materials are coming from somewhere. And if they are coming from somewhere, those people that are being affected by that project, they should receive a proper compensation for that. And that's one of the points that was a major beacon for the project, so local economic development. But the other idea that we have to keep in mind is that exploitation of resources is not exactly destroying everything and destroying the environment. That might have been the case in the past, but that's not the case nowadays. Nowadays, the industry has got standards that actually are able to maintain the quality of life in the places that are being mined. And but I always go back to this idea: we have to find a way to compensate the populations that are being affected by those companies. I have I have this idea: if you don't allow mining to happen in your backyard, then you have to pay extra to have those materials being sent to you by someone else that was sympathetic enough to allow that to happen in their backyard. So this idea of the NIMBY, not in my backyard syndrome, okay, then if you don't want in your backyard, you have to pay for that, because somebody else will have to deal with their backyard syndrome. But for newcomers to geology, they should think that earth science is not only about exploiting resources. There are so many other issues that geology has a role to play. And nowadays, with all this discussion about implications to climate and all that, and geology has a main role to play in there. So earth sciences will be more and more important in all everyday facts of life. So it's not only about destroying the environment or extracting materials from the earth. Everything we deal in our everyday life has to do with geology. In the coming months, unfortunately, we'll still be dealing with COVID and all the constraints related with COVID. So the main actions will still be online. So this SUGERE was a project that when we thought about the project, we planned quite a lot of actions, face-to-face actions. So sessions in Salamanca that already happened, sessions in Torino that had to be postponed because of COVID, sessions in Coimbra that still didn't happen, but also things that are supposed to happen in all the countries, Cape Verde, Angola, and Mozambique. Unfortunately, that had to change, and we now turn to online interactions on online teaching. And in that area, we already did more than a dozen modules. So modules meaning probably 50 or more lessons, I think, altogether. And in the coming months, we are still maintaining those online lessons, probably starting with Cape Verde in the end of the year. And we'll have also a few lessons for the University of Luanda, Agostinho Neto, University Agostinho Neto in Luanda, for the PhD students. And after that, we probably will start with lessons for the students in Maputo and in Lobango. But after that, we have our main meeting in Maputo that is supposed to happen in October 2023. And so 2022, sorry, so next year. And also in more or less before or after that, we'll have the session in Torino. So the people from Cape Verde, Mozambique, and Angola will go to Turin to learn mainly about green mining and the issues related with sustainable mining. And that after that, we expect to have a session here in Coimbra. And for that, we will cover all the laboratories that we have, all the labs that we have here at the Earth Sciences Department of the university. That's the plan. So if COVID goes on, we'll maintain online teaching, which is not the same for geology. Online is good for many fields and also for geology. But in geology, we need to do field trips and to feel the rocks.